What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Johners. This is episode 124, and this is another interview in partnership and being sponsored by Turnbuckle TV. So today we've got a gentleman that's been part of the wrestling business for a number of years now, but he's also been involved in running his own promotion as an owner, as a general manager. The promotion I'm referring to is Wrestling 4, and I'll introduce Alex Talbot, otherwise known as the wrestler Xander Calaway. So, Alex, brilliant to have you on the Wrestling with Johners podcast. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. How are you, sir?
I'm so excited. I love these things. These are great. So this is, it's great. It gives me something else to look forward to while I'm stuck at home.
Yeah.
I get to talk about wrestling.
Of course. And I'm guessing that you are housebound at the moment. Is that your current situation with regards to your self-isolation and all that good stuff? But I mean, we've done interviews on the Wrestling with Johners podcast with the likes of Chantel Jordan, the boys from DNA Wrestling, Dave and Ant, and Big Effin' Joe, and CJ Carter. So it's great to add you to the list of our Turnbuckle TV interviews. But kind of when I introduced you there, Alex, I introduced you as the general manager and the owner of Wrestling 4. Now, someone I think took exception on social media to me kind of calling you the promoter of Wrestling 4. So that's a mistake I won't make again. But it's very important to call you the general manager, the owner of Wrestling 4. But before we start, I want to go back to a tweet of yours from the 14th of April. So only 4 or 5 days ago, and you said one thing I'm looking forward to about this lockdown being over. The caliber of wrestling we're going to see. If you handcuffed an artist for this long and took away his paints, for the first time they would do with the freedom is to create a masterpiece. So no truer words could be said than it on your tweet there. I mean, I know that the wrestlers must be climbing the walls kind of all over the world, all over the UK scene regarding the current situation, not being able to get there and perform, not being able to get out and train. But tell us a bit about your kind of thoughts behind that tweet then, Alex.
Someone asked me on the phone, they said, we don't know what the state of wrestling is going to be in when it comes back. And I said, it's going to be better than ever. I said, it's going to take a while. I said, there's going to be a lull, because you've got to think that people aren't earning as much money as they were. They're not going out. They might still be a little bit scared to go out. I said, but when you and I use that example of, I was like, if you take a painter's art supplies off him and tie his hands together for this long and tell him you cannot do the thing that you love, the first bit of freedom that he gets, he's going to want the Mona Lisa. He's going to want, So I honestly believe that's how a lot of wrestlers are feeling at the minute. So because they're not even getting training in the system. They're not even taking the bumps at a training school. They're not doing anything. So
there's no gyms open.
There's no gyms. There's no sort of outlet for these people that are active, that are physical, that are intense. There's no outlet for them to do the thing that they love.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when that lockdown gets lifted and that first show, it's going to be exciting.
Well, I had a conversation with Dave and Ant, the boys behind DNA Wrestling, last week, and they said pretty much the same thing, that it gives them and the UK wrestling scene a chance to kind of reboot and to kind of reinvent themselves. But when the doors are open, I think that the first wrestling show from any promotion around the UK is going to be an immediate sellout, and people are just kind of dying to watch wrestling, and the wrestlers are dying to entertain. So that's going to be a hell of a moment whenever that happens. Hopefully, not too far into the future. Now,
sooner rather than later,
exactly.
Hopefully.
I mean, to try and get away from all the doom and gloom, I just want to congratulate you on all the success you've had with Wrestling 4.
Thank you.
You've had a number of really successful shows. I think your first show was back in February 2018, so we kind of just covered the 2-year anniversary, haven't we? When you kind of think back, if you can sum up kind of them first couple of years as the owner of Wrestling 4 and all the success and all the wonderful support you had, how would you be able to sum that up for me?
To be fair, it's not just me. There's 2 other guys behind the scenes. There's Kirk Harrison and there's a guy called H. Russell. They're the other owners of Wrestling 4. We're in a 3-way sort of deal. My wife's on board. She's just as passionate about it as we are. We've got a lot of volunteers that are all on board. It's a wild ride with your mates and with your family. Kirk I've known since we were both at school. He's older than me. I like to remind him of that as well, that he's older than me. but yeah, he's as passionate as they come. And without him, realistically, there wouldn't have been, like, I came up with the idea and the brains about it. He was the one that put the idea forward and went, well, this is how we can do it. So in that sense, like, I owe a lot to Kirk. So for me to be able to play owner and promoter, like, it's a lot of work have gone into it with Kirk. Like, I like to tell people, like, he's that dedicated that it was his birthday. His wife was in hospital and had just had twins. And he was sat in the hospital on his birthday, baby, typing out, like, company's house, registering us as a business, getting us, everything that we need to be where we are.
Incredible.
H is, when it comes to design, he's a genius and stuff. He designed our title. And he says he doesn't do much on the day, and I'll agree with him, but no, he's key. And, like, when it comes to, like, getting places set up and getting the ring set up and stuff like that, the bloke is just on the ball, and he's hammers away at it and stuff like that, which is valuable for me as well, because it leaves me free to worry about the other aspects of promoting. Yeah. So, like, I know Kirk's got the business thing down. I know H has got the setup down. My wife's sort of, like, patting me on the back going, don't have a heart attack, don't have a heart attack. And it gives me just the freedom to be everywhere that I need to be. So
it's a fantastic team effort. It sounds like a fantastic team effort, and everybody's got their own role and know what part they play in it. But before we get kind of deep into your career and wrestling let's talk about you as a wrestling fan then, because you wouldn't be doing this if you weren't a wrestling fan. Let's be honest. No. Can you remember the first time you clapped eyes on pro wrestling?
Yes.
When your world was changed forever and wrestling came into your life?
I remember being a young boy. I can't remember how old I was exactly, but I remember being sat downstairs, and it was my bedtime. Like, I was meant to be in bed. I had school the next day.
We've all been there.
and Cartoon Network, it was either at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, swapped from Cartoon Network to TNT, and the first program on was Nitro, WCW Nitro. And I remember just being sat there, just watching what was going on. Like, what is this? Like, there's a bloke that's walking through fireworks and stuff, which was obviously that I'd learned that was Goldberg. He was just this massive man in a leather jacket walking through, like, sparklers and stuff. And I was like, and then, like, they were battering each other. And I was like, what is this world? What is this world? And then, like, you'd get, like, your Eddie Guerreros, you'd get your Dean Malenkos, you get your Chris Jerichos, Chris Benoit's, Rey Mysterios. They'd be backflipping everywhere. Like, so as a kid, I'm going, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And, like, I loved Power Rangers when I was a kid. I loved the idea of being a superhero when I was a kid. Like, Power Rangers was my thing. And, like, these were, like, they were real life Power Rangers. They had their own costumes. They used to go out and the good guys used to beat up the bad guys. And, like, that's just basic human want and need, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing that as a young kid and the fireworks and the spectacle, it was WCW that sort of pulled me in.
And that's really interesting, because you speak to a lot of people and it was WWF, but a lot depended on whether you had Sky at a time or was able to kind of, have Sky or similar. But you're quite right with regards to the Cartoon Network, and it did at a certain time switch to TNT. You could see Nitro, and it's kind of quite interesting that you were more of you're brought in as a WCW fan. And who are some of the wrestling heroes or characters that you kind of latched yourself to back in the day then?
Back then, it was Goldberg. It was this monstrous man that would walk through fire, and like, that was insane. And again, it was Eddie Guerrero. I loved Eddie Guerrero from the minute I saw him. I loved the fact that he was a cocky, cool sort of, and he was just brilliant. Like, the way he moved was fluid, and, like, I probably didn't realize it back then, but I was enjoying watching his performance because of how fluid he was, and and stuff like that. So that really pulled me in. And then eventually it was The Undertaker. when I first saw The Undertaker, like, it was like something went off in my brain. It was like, this bloke is amazing. Like, and I don't care how much of a mark it makes me sound like that. I am still, to this day, fully invested in everything that bloke does. Because for a man to go on for a career that he's had for so long, like, you've got to respect the bloke for it. Yeah. But going back to as a kid, watching this bloke who was apparently a dead man, and he was claiming souls and stuff like that, and then like I come out of wrestling for a little bit, and then went back into it, and he was riding a Harley Davidson, and like I was, do you know what I mean?
More cool, yeah, even more cool.
Do you know what I mean?
He's like, the cool factor,
and like people, how can you like wrestling? It's so unrealistic because it's cool.
Yeah. You know. And how would you say your wrestling tastes or wrestling fandom has changed over the years? Would you say that it's, I mean, you say you're still in love with The Undertaker now and that kind of 100%. Mystical side of him, but would you say that you've branched out a little bit, or your tastes have matured slightly over the years?
I don't know how you'd explain it, but I'm very much a purist in the sense that I like the old school source. I like the WWE product. Like, whether you love Vince McMahon or hate Vince McMahon, one thing that you can't do is say that he's not a genius when it comes to business. And his business model is perfect. It's not aimed at sort of my age bracket anymore. It's aimed at the kids because they're the ones that are pulling on the sleeves of the parents going, Mum, can I have that T-shirt and stuff? But, like, their business, like, sort of, if they had, like, a chart up with, like, the 10 steps to business, like, I'd agree with every single one of them because what he's doing is right. But then I do massively like the indie style as well. I've got to be honest, I'm not a fan of AEW.
Okay.
I purely because it started off great, but I'm fed up of the WWE. That's funny, isn't it? Oh, look at them idiots over there. And like, to me, that's I'm not entertained by that. That's, you know, you're just wrestlers dissing other wrestlers.
Taking shots.
And like, to me, it's pathetic. It's not, and they're not doing it like they WCW and WWE did. They're not at each other's throats for a rivalry. It's like WWE are up here, AEW is still down here, and it's like the scrappy little dog still trying to pick up the big dog when the big dog knows full well that, like, it could just sit on it and you wouldn't have a company anymore.
Yeah, I can understand that as well. And, you know, I think a lot of it's all stirred up by kind of social media and by Twitter. But you have seen AEW kind of, you know, behave unprofessionally sometimes with the way they take pot shots at WWE. But we'll cast all that to one side. And I want to talk to you about your wrestling career then. Okay. So when did you decide that you wanted to take that big step into becoming a wrestler? Kind of what was that fateful day? And tell me about that process and that light bulb moment when you thought, right, I you know, it just came into your head, I want to be a pro wrestler from today.
I'd sit at home, and I was sort of early to mid-20s. How long have I been doing it now? I'm 20 years. Yeah, so early 20s. I was about 23. About 23. And I'd sit there and be like, I wish I was doing this. I wish this was something I could do. And one day I said it, and my missus was there, and she was like, what, wrestle? She was like, yeah. She was like, why don't you then? And I was like, I'm not really in shape and stuff anymore. And, you know, she was like, well, you'll get in shape by doing stuff. And I was like, yeah, I suppose I would, wouldn't I, really? So went to Facebook and searched for a load of wrestling schools, and there was one 20 minutes away. I was like, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
I turned up for a session, which was like sort of a teaser session, see if you'd like it. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Messaged them again to see if I could come along to the regular sessions. Didn't hear anything off them. I was like, you arseholes. Yeah. You've had me money off me for my seminar and whatnot, and now you're not interested. So I went to another one, which was about 20 minutes to the other side.
I was going to say, it can't be a shortage of schools near where you are.
No, there's a fair few. So I went to another one 20 minutes the other way. It turns out, just to put the record straight, that the reason why the other promotion, and like I wasn't getting any emails back, is they'd had a very serious bereavement in the family.
Right.
So they weren't running any sort of bad business or anything like that. They were just preoccupied with not me, which is fine. Yeah. But yeah, so I went 20 minutes and I started training at Pro Wrestling Live in Darlaston.
Fantastic.
PWI in Darlaston.
Fantastic. And did you make your debut kind of with them, or in a group connected with them? And can you remember that first match, Alex? Because when I've spoken to a lot of wrestlers in the past, they've been highly embarrassed by their first match. Terrible. Or by the gimmick they had. But how were you feeling on the day, and how did you feel after that? Did it go all right?
I was super excited about everything until it was like, right, it's your lot's turn to go out. And then as soon as everything was ready, every bit of moisture in my mouth dried up. My tongue swelled to about 7 times its size. And I was like, I'm actually going to have to go outside and do this now. Oh, no. Oh, well, let's just do it and get it over with. And I did. And it was awful. I say it was awful. I did okay. And, yeah, it was an experience that I will never forget. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And it's true what they say when they say you get the bug. Oh, did you get the bug?
It bit you big time.
Big time.
But let's talk about kind of your early gimmicks then, because I'm guessing you weren't the chosen man, Xander Calaway, when you first started.
No.
Who was your first gimmick or your early gimmick? Can you remember?
I was a Russian character. I was the big Russian Viktor Romanov.
Brilliant.
complete with like sort of deerstalker hat with the Soviet Union badge and long grey military coat and Russian flag carrying to the ring. And yeah, that was my first gimmick, which, do you know what, at the time I had so much fun with, because I just could. I'd learn all of the Russian swear words and just shout them at people. And like, it was funny because they didn't know what they meant at all. Like, they didn't have a clue. But it was great. It was possibly the strangest 3-4 years of my entire life. Because
so you were Viktor Romanov for 4 years. That's
I was.
That's dedication to the cause. That
it
is.
Was.
Your fake Russian accent must have got really good.
Well, yeah, it was. Do you know what? It was the stuff like backstage where I remember I'll never forget it. Like, I'm backstage. I'm out the front of the venue. We're taking the ring down, and people are coming up asking for autographs to sign the poster. And I'm stood there and I'm completely in gimmick, and one of the other guys turns around and goes, "Victor, pen! You want a pen?" And I'm like, "Yes." And then I'll pick something ridiculous up, and he's like, "No, pen." And we do that, and it's so infantile, but it was so funny at the time, and stuff like that. I'll just brilliant.
I've just kind of got these flashbacks to the old 80s WWF characters, and you had I can't remember their names now. But did you ever try to
Nikolai Volkov?
Nikolai Volkov, and he used to sing the Russian national anthem, did he? Did you ever attempt singing the national anthem?
No, never did.
That would have been amazing.
Russian is a very, very, very hard language.
Yeah, but they don't need to know what you're saying, do they?
No, that's true. Yeah, no, I never tried singing the anthem. I'd learned just enough basic Russian to get me by, and I could swear and shout at people.
There we go. All the important stuff.
Yeah, but there's a load of Russian wrestlers that you go back, and so much of their moves that I just stole because I was like, yeah, that works. Russian leg sweep. It's in the name. I'm going to do a Russian leg sweep. All sorts of stuff like that. Brilliant.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. I hope there's some video footage of you as Viktor Romanov out there somewhere.
Do you know what?
We'll have to do a search.
There was a guy that used to do our DVDs, and he used to set up a little hand cam at the back of the room, always behind someone's head. So halfway through, you can just see someone's head looking across the match, or it cuts off the turnbuckles and stuff like that. So there's not much footage of that actually exists, but there is a little bit on my phone, and there's a couple of photos and stuff on my phone and stuff that I might send you in private.
but that sounds like an absolute blast. But let's skip ahead a little bit and tell us about the Chosen Man gimmick. That when did Xander Calaway come around then? Because that's your most recent gimmick, the one that you're kind of more familiar with.
Yeah.
And was that in connection with the start of Wrestling 4? Tell us about Xander Calaway then.
That was sort of like my breakaway. Like I left PWL because I wanted to be indie, and I needed the character, I needed the gimmick, and a lot of my friends at the time, two of my good friends, they were in the army and they were in the Royal Green Jackets. And their sort of tag name were the Chosen Men, and I was like, "That's cool. That is that's got something to it. That is." So like I went down that sort, and I'd sit there and I'd like sort of spider diagram in my head, like where I could go with it and stuff like that. And one of the things I'd say in promos is that I'm not like your normal person. I wasn't born for this. I was chosen for this, and stuff like that. The other thing that I thought was keeping important was to keep my own sort of name in there. Because the amount of times that I'd be Victor and people would be going, Al, Alex, Al. And I'd be like, not me, that's not me. So like Xander isn't far away from Alexander. So you can get away with it a little bit more. And then Calaway is just in homage to The Undertaker because the bloke has just had such an impact on my life. It's sort of my little sort of,
homage.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Some people call it geeky and weird, but I don't care.
No, it's a pretty cool name if you ask me. It really is. But let's talk a bit about Wrestling 4 then. So, what prompted the idea to start your own promotion? Dare I say a charity promotion as well? What were your initial thoughts behind the birth of Wrestling 4? Then take us back to that kind of story.
So, Wrestling 4 was never ever meant to be more than one show. My next door neighbour was my best friend, my best man at my wedding, love him to pieces. Him and his family had a daughter, and she was epileptic. And they'd gone to a charity. They were having a load of trouble with doctors and stuff like that, and just getting her healthy and right. And they went to this charity called the Daisy Garland Trust. They helped her with information. They sent them funding for alarms. So if she was having a seizure in the night, it'd wake the parents up because it's so dangerous. Stuff that I didn't realise how dangerous it was. And there was a pillow that she had that even if she went face down in the pillow and was unconscious, she could still breathe through the pillow. Right. Which we tested because I held it over my mate's face quite hard, and he could still breathe. He didn't die. So, but yeah, so they provided a ton of stuff for him. And she said to me, she was like, "Well, I want to do something to give back, but I don't know what to do." And I went, put on a wrestling show. That's a great idea. I was like, yeah, it is, isn't it? Oh, crap. What have I just got myself in for? So, like, she was like, right, we'll pick a date. We'll pick a venue. I was like, right, okay. So the venue was in Lower Gornal, which is just not far from Dudley, in the Royal British Legion Club there, because my mate's parents own it. And because it was for charity, they let us have the room for free. Now, you could stand in the ring and touch the roof. So it was a very, very, very low ceiling. The ring came from Fight Club Pro. Love Zaki to pieces. I asked him about where he hires his ring from. He was like, "No, don't worry about that. Get yourself a van. Come pick ours up and you can use ours." That's
really cool. That's really good of him, yeah.
Massively so. So on the Thursday night before the show, after he'd finished his training school in the ring, he got all of the lads that were there to tear the ring down, help us load it into the van, deliver it to the venue, and then this was at like 11 o'clock at night. And then the next day went and set it up. Wrestlers, like, I didn't expect to get like any interest off wrestlers. I thought to myself, if I put 4 matches on and I wrestle 3 of them, do you know what I mean? Then fair enough, I'll do it that way.
Yeah.
I managed to get a ridiculous like roster of people, like an absolute, like the Hunter Brothers, like the best tag team in British wrestling, like bar none. Sean Custom, he's doing massive things now.
Yeah, we've interviewed Sean on the show, and he's a great guy. And
such a good guy.
Kamikaze Pro Champion. So top talent.
Damon Moser, who was in Progress, he was a tag team champion in Progress. Chuck Mambo, Alex Cupid, Elliot Jordan, Brandon Thomas, Sparks Williams, Mr. Williams from down at RWA with his daughter Katie. Jamie Sparks, she was on the show. Like Clint Margera, and Shea Purser, Shea Fu, before Shea Fu was Shea Fu. And Omari as well. They were in the wrestling ring in Lower Gornal for this charity show that I put on in front of about 40 people maximum. And like I couldn't believe that I'd done it more than anything. It was sort of like I'd look around and like I'd be like, oh, there's people here watching. Like, this is great. And this is where Kirk comes into it, because me and Kirk hadn't spoke to each other in a good many years. But I needed a photographer, and I put on Facebook that I needed a photographer. And Kirk messaged me saying, look, I've just started doing photography. I'd love to come and shoot a wrestling show, because he's a massive wrestling fan anyway.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you mind if I come along? I went, no, you're in. Like, straight away, you're in. And then that was that. And then it went well. We raised a load of money, and everybody sort of patted me on the back because they said it was a great night. And
yeah, I was going to ask, what the fan reaction must have been pretty good. I'd say it was only maybe 40, 50 people there. But, the support you got to put on that first show must have kind of blown you away, to be honest with you. And at Massive. The time, you was considering it as maybe a one and done. But,
yeah, it was.
After that first show, was it soon afterwards that you kind of thought, well, it was such a success, let's do it again?
Well, that was in October. September or October. I can't quite remember the month.
Your second show was October, I think. Yeah.
That was for Cart. That was when we were established as Wrestling 4. This is the Daisy Garland one.
Gotcha.
And then it was just before Christmas that me and Kirk met up with H, and it was just before Christmas, and said like, well, how about we do this on a more regular basis? And then we put the pin in it then, and didn't speak about it again until the following May.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't anything that we'd ever intended to grow or get bigger. But it just did. It just did. We ended up getting funding from a company called The Big Local, who run all sorts of things behind the scenes in your local community. You'll have one in wherever you live. They love the idea. And they sort of went, right, okay, lads, here's the platform, go.
Yeah.
So they really sort of give us the rub that we needed. So massive thanks to The Big Local. I'll send you a link to their sort of stuff.
Yeah, any links like that I'll put in the description to this podcast, so that the listeners can continue to support the wonderful work that you're doing in the charity. And
well, the amount that they do for the local community is huge. They're always doing things for the community, so like it'll be great to shout them out.
Yeah.
And then everything just started coming together from there. Really, we decided on another charity. We decided on a date and a venue. Again, big shout out John from Benjamin's. The room that you've got's fantastic. He gives it us for free. Started off very skeptical, I might add. Wrestling show. Well, we have boxing, but that's real fighting, isn't it? And you're like, yeah, that's real. This isn't real, no. But I guarantee you we'll get a crowd in. Oh, if you say so. He now rings me asking for dates. Come on, when you doing another one? When you doing another one? And I'm like, yeah, But yeah, massive shout to them. They're brilliant. And anybody that donates, or because I can't thank people enough, because without people, like we're not able to do what we do. I think already in the shows that we've done, we've already managed to raise £5,000 or just over £5,000 to the charities that we've put shows on for.
That's really good. That's absolutely fantastic.
We're either, I can't remember if we're just over or just under 5,000, but either way, we're creeping up on that 5,000 mark, which is ridiculous. It's insane.
let's talk about some of the other charities then. So you obviously mentioned Daisy Garland. That was the one that kicked it all off, wasn't it? And then I understand that your second one was for Calm, mental health charity.
The campaign is Living Miserably.
That's it. And then you had Young Lives versus Cancer, the Click Sergeant charity. I think that was possibly June last year, if I'm not mistaken. And then Acorns, which was a local children charity. That was your November show. So, do some of these charities have special meaning to you, or do they reach out to you? What sort of connection do you have with some of these charities, and how are they chosen for the shows?
We've always sort of tried to pick a charity that was close to us. And the first one, Campaign Against Living Miserably, if you look at the demographic of wrestling fans, it's young men between the ages of 10 and 45. The demographic that they deal with is men between the ages of 10 and 45 that commit suicide. And it is a male-focused charity, but we did it because of the demographics were the same. The demographics for the charity that they deal with and the work that they do is exactly the same demographic that wrestling sort of targeted at. So it sort of went hand in hand. And that was brilliant. That we really shed a light on sort of like men's mental health and like there's no need to be alone. There's no need to struggle alone and stuff like that. So like as me, I've suffered with depression. I know Kirk has. I know H has. We've all sort of had our demons and our battles and stuff like that. So to really sort of give something back. The money that we raised kept their health centre open, their phone lines open for an entire day. So whoever might have been feeling low and phoned them that day because they were on the verge, if someone managed to talk them down or talk them out of it that night, they saved a life. And that was the money that we donated. So that was massive for us. Then Click Sergeant was for children with paediatric cancer and children cancers. Again, there was a personal reason behind that one. It's not my business to go into, so I won't. No. But there was a personal reason to go into that one, and that was fantastic. That was unbelievable. That was like the big one for us because that was the first show after our first show. So if you came Daisy Garland as sort of a separate entity, which we did because we weren't a business then, we still came to it as one of ours, but we weren't a business then, so it wasn't Wrestling 4. That was our second Wrestling 4 show, and that was a doozy for us. That was the same people who'd come to watch the shows that were at the show last time because they enjoyed it so much. Wrestlers were asking to be a part of the show. Like it's got to the point now where the roster builds itself because like we just try to look after people and like whatever we're doing, and that goes for the charity representatives, that goes for the wrestlers, the audience, everybody taking part. We want to make sure that everybody's there for a good experience. So like we met up with the charity representative, and we spoke to her at no length. She came up and set a stand and stuff there for Click Sergeant. For Acorns, we went and visited a hospice. We went and visited one of the hospices, and we did a video tour at the hospice. We really want people to feel what we're donating for and what the cause is for, and where the money's going to go to. And again, the wrestlers backstage at our show, like they call it a little party. They love it because there's food there, there's drink there. And they get to watch the wrestling show for free if they want it, and stuff like that. So. And I've done that from show number 1. There's been a buffet that's bigger than you'd see at most weddings.
Yeah, and wrestlers really appreciate that. I mean, I was speaking to the DNA guys last week, and they were complimented. I mentioned to them on how they look after the wrestlers. So I think wrestlers, they know the difference between a good owner, good promoter, dare I say, and one that doesn't really kind of care that much or as much. But when you would lay on kind of a buffet and good facilities for wrestlers, I think that's what really counts. That they recognise that.
It's the least we can do at the end of the day. They're giving up their time. They're giving up their time for something that they'd normally be paid to do. They're normally being paid for this, but they're donating their time. So the least we can do is make it like a pleasurable experience. Becky, the girl that does the buffet, she's fantastic. She'll literally just put on the Facebook group, right, what does everybody want? Last year, she went above and beyond. She did like a whole vegan section as well. So there was like vegan people, because like wrestlers, like a load of wrestlers are vegan now.
Yeah.
She did a massive vegan section. So there was 2 hot pot, 2 slow cookers in the back, one a beef chili, one a vegan chili. There was like, she was so on the ball with it. It was unbelievable. And I think it was Dan Maloney, he turned around to me and was like, we don't get fed this well when we're at the WWE. And like stuff like that, it makes everything worthwhile, because it's that people have enjoyed it, and people have appreciated it, which is massive.
Definitely. Well, let's talk about some of the talent there, because I mentioned, or we've spoken about some of the talent already during this interview, but you mentioned Dan Maloney. He's been a big part of the promotion since the early shows. The likes of Chantel Jordan, Millie McKenzie, Kelly Six, Marshall X, Clint McGarrett. For starters, I could go on for 10 minutes naming all the brilliant talent that's kind of, worked for and under the Wrestling 4 banner. You can't be short of talent that want to work for you come match day. I mean, I heard on a separate interview that you're kind of having to almost invent matches to kind of accommodate the people that want to be a part of the show.
Yeah, like the way I look at it is, if these people want to perform for the charity, then they should be allowed to have that platform. So like, people will say you've only got one singles match on the entire card. I'm like, yeah, I know. And they're like, why? I'm like, because so many people wanted to help and do something. And like, there's these people you can't turn down. Do you know what I mean? There's names there that that are going to draw a crowd. So you're like, but then there's also people that share your things on social media, and always, it goes a long way just to message, you're right, guys, anything we can do to help and stuff like that. And I'm like, he's always messaging us to see what he can do to help. And I know he's a wrestler and he wants a shot, so let's give him a shot. And he's always there first thing to help put the ring up. Get him on. Do you know what I mean? And like, I have got to cut back doing that, because it does make things a bit clustery and stuff. But like, it's still a learning curve for me. I don't class myself as a promoter. Like, that's one thing I don't class myself as. I am a wrestler who puts on wrestling shows. I've got the same mindset of any wrestler at the back. Like, I know basically how a show runs. I know what makes me happy, what doesn't make me happy. So I just try to stick within them parameters. I by no means say I'm a promoter. I'm a wrestler with more jobs to do for his own promotion. But it's great. Like, the amount of help that we get is it's mind-boggling. Like I said, the roster's brilliant. The roster's incredible. Like, I'm so lucky to be able to just text these people, how you doing? You fancy a match in a couple of weeks and stuff like that for the charity show and stuff. And it's unreal and stuff. Like, to have Dan Maloney as our first champion.
Well, I was going to say, that's pretty epic. I mean, he's a top guy and a fantastic figurehead to have for your company. And he is legitimately one of the best wrestlers in the UK, in Europe. And to have him as your champion, your main guy, is pretty special.
Hands down, mate. Hands down. The guy is also possibly one of the nicest people that you'll ever meet as well. He's so genuine. It's unreal. And he's a workhorse. He's an absolute workhorse. At the last show, he rang me on the day, and he was like, I'm really badly injured. I don't know if I'm going to be able to wrestle a match. I was like, oh, no. And he was like, but I'll still turn up, because even if I don't wrestle the match, I still want to be there for the show. So even if he wasn't going to wrestle, he was still going to be there. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And in the end, he turned up with his gear, and he was like, it's all right. No worries. I'll just take it easy. And I'm just like, you're a machine. The bloke is a machine. He's an animal. How like PG-13 and like adults only is this podcast, so I know how to censor this next bit.
It's not a PG podcast. You can use adult language if you choose to. No problem.
This will be the one that I will use it, because I think it like. So we've just done the first show for Click Sergeant. Dan has won the title. I'm in the ring with Dan. We've had a hug. I've raised his hand at the end of the night. And he's gone, oh, give me the mic. And he's gone, we've done it, everybody! Fuck cancer! Yeah! And I'm like, there's kids everywhere. But not only that, it's a brand new piece of equipment. He then bounces off the mat, and the mic goes into the third row. And literally, you can hear me on the recording go, Daniel!
Brilliant.
But I got backstage and stuff. He was like, I didn't mean to swear. I was just so caught up in the emotion. I didn't mean to swear. I was like, it's fine. We got away with it. No problem. And, but like, the guys, like, And for advice and stuff like that, if I ever need any advice or something, like I'll message him and just go, "Am I doing the right thing here?" And he'll either say yes or no, or like he's tip top. He should be everywhere that he isn't, because I know he's everywhere now, but everywhere that he isn't, he should be. Yeah. Same with Derice though, his tag team partner as well at the minute. Like Derice has been a staple of wrestling for as well. The pair of them together, they're just two lads from sort of where I grew up, and they're living the dream. And like, I couldn't be happier for the pair of them.
Speaking of champions, let's talk about your Wrestling 4 inaugural Hall of Famers, tag team champions, pun intended, Harry Crews and Ryan Parrott. So what's going on there then? I mean, they are as entertaining as hell, but they must do your head in.
Oh, the blood's already started boiling. I can feel the vein on the side of my neck going.
Those belts don't look very official, do they?
So, but they've got a WF on them. Yeah, I know they've got a WF on them, but it's not my WF. God, I gave them a match at Wrestling 4, the first show for Calm, which they won. And they've then says, well, they've beaten all the best tag teams. That must make them championship level. So they went and bought these toy titles, made a load of fake letters up, signed my name, which was ridiculous, which I didn't realise until afterwards, on Hall of Fame certificates. They've forged text messages. They've forged emails. They've done everything that they can to laugh in my face. And oh God, they're such clowns. They are such idiots. They are ridiculous. And like Ryan Parrott's smug little face. Oh, he knows how to get on my very last wick, that boy. He knows. But like,
has one of them stolen some of your moves as well, I understand?
Oh, Harry, the big ginger bell end. He did it in a couple of shows. I do the whole Daniel Bryan running knee thing because I'm a big guy. And when I do it, people go, Jesus Christ, did you see what he just did? And it was hilarious. So he was going to shows going, this is how you do it, Alex. And then hitting my move. And I'm like, oh.
I can see that, in a future show, maybe the June show, this 2-on-1 handicap match, there's got to be some comeuppance. There's got to be there's a storyline already, Alex.
Well, I had to tag with show memes last time to cart them out in the shopping trolley. I didn't really get my hands on them as much as I'd want to, but it's coming. It's coming.
The big payoff. But in all seriousness, I've interviewed another promoters and owners on this podcast, and the key objective for them is to kind of, I know that your key objective is all about the charities, of course, but for them it's all about a lot of the newer talent and providing a platform for newer talents and bringing them into the business. And I know you say you're never short of kind of a talent that wants to be on your show, but are there any kind of young wrestlers who have particularly impressed you on some of your wrestling shows, and any that we should be keeping an eye out for?
The other thing I like to do is the guys that I know have busted their arse off and maybe haven't got the opportunity that they probably deserve, I like to put them on as well. They're not new in any means, but Alter Ego as a tag team, 2K and CJ Rollins, those two together are just magic. Like they are brilliant. And if you're not if you're a promoter looking for that sort of tag team, just take a chance on them. Take a chance on them. They will not let you down. But yeah, other people like Danny Reed. There's like Luke Douglas. I say Luke Douglas. He's doing really well for himself in Cami. Lance Rivera from RWA. A couple of the RWA lads came down and they really shone. Their conditioning and their training is absolutely great. Absolute massive credit to their training school. Like, they're brilliant. But the Cami lads that are on at the minute and stuff like that, I've got a couple of the Cami lads on. So, like Kamikaze Kid, the man himself, is unbelievable. Lucia Lee, considering she's only just hitting a year in the business, she has got a future. Like she's ridiculous. She needs to simmer down a little bit, just a little bit. But she's got something special. Same as Chantal Jordan. Those two, I can see them coming up together and really sort of pushing the ceiling, like big time.
Yeah.
Lila Kyle, she's been a friend of mine for years. She's only just started wrestling. She's brilliant. She puts her everything into it. She wears her heart on the sleeve and she goes out there and she gives it 100% every single night. There's all sorts. There's guys there that like that I have in the battle royal that I'm looking in the battle royal and you belong. You know, any show would be grateful to have you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like Jason Joshua, great lad. Jack Carney, great lad. Hammer Healy, great lad. You know, Deno Babic, great lad. All these names that you see regularly at one promotion, but they honestly belong everywhere else. They're great. They're absolutely great. Stephen Keane, he's another one that turns up every single day to load the ring and stuff like that, get everything sorted. He's the last one there to go away. And he's a workhorse. He puts the graft in, he goes for it, and you know, he's great. Massive shout out to one of my friends, my very, very close friends, love him to pieces. Jay goes by Devin Briggs. He's sort of just started getting himself out there as like sort of an independent wrestler from what he was doing before. And he's got the look, he's got the right mindset and stuff, but again, he needs someone to pick him up and go with him. So I'll use him on my shows as much as I can until someone sees him, because when someone sees him, they'll snap it up.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes with a lot of the guys that I'll use and stuff. So
yeah, that's really cool, and I think you more than covered that one. And like I say, you've got so many kind of young and underutilized talent that you are definitely utilizing when you have these Wrestle 4 shows. Absolutely. But going back to one of my original questions, then, Alex, I mean, you know, the world is in a bit of a poor state at the moment. Everywhere's on lockdown at the moment, including wrestling. Now, your next show is scheduled for June, so in a few months' time, couple of months' time. It's in aid, or meant to be in aid of Burning Nights, which is a complex regional pain syndrome, and it's a really stacked show. You've already got AEW's wrestler Shana involved. I know that she's popular on the UK and around Europe, but she's done a few shows for AEW and has proved herself on there most definitely. In amongst a whole host of really top names that have been announced already for your show in June. Are you keeping a really close eye on the situation regarding COVID-19 and kind of you're probably keeping your ear to the ground on a daily basis regarding that June show?
Absolutely. We don't want to pull this show until the very last minute. One, for the charity, but two, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Imagine like coming out of lockdown and that being the first show that people can go to, you know. And it's not about me making money. That would help that charity like more than words could describe. We always said we wanted to get to a point where charities could approach us to put shows on. And when we were organising this show, we didn't have a charity. And then I got contacted by this charity and they asked if we put a show on for them. So this is sort of like the first charity where we've hit our goal, where we want them to come to us. So it's very special to us in that sense. And yeah, like the work they do is massive. It's one of only 2 charities in the UK that do what they do. So not only would the fundraising normally be a massive help for them, if we could be sort of like one of the first wrestling shows back after lockdown lifts, where we get an influx of people coming, who knows? Do you know what I mean? So I'm literally every other day I'm thinking to myself, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I'm like, I'll keep it as it is at the minute. I'll keep it as it is. Like, no doubt, you know, we've got another 3 weeks of this. This will take us into sort of May. Like, I'll have to make a decision eventually whether it's going to go ahead or not. That decision might be taken completely out of my hands. It might not be a decision that I want to make, but
yeah,
fingers crossed. It's something that I'm monitoring very carefully.
Yeah, it'd be great to have that as one of the first shows, back with fans. But just kind of looking at a brighter subject, just to cap off this interview, what were some of your favourite or proudest moments since you've been running Wrestling 4 then as their owner, as their general manager? What's some of your favourite or proudest moments for Wrestling 4?
It's literally like I'll sit there at the start of every show and I'll do a card run through with the guys that are there. And I'm sitting there and I'm running through the card and I'm reading off these names and I'm looking around and these names are there and they want to work and and they want to work for something. They like what we do. They agree with what we do. It's not just another booking for them. If it was just another booking for them, it probably wouldn't feel as special as it does. But it's not. It's not just another booking for these people. They're on the same page that I am. They want to help. They want to make a difference. So every time I sort of look up from my little piece of paper from there, like I sit there sometimes and just go, like, man. It happens at the end of every single show. Like, I'll go out there to say thank you for the people for turning up, and there's tears in my eyes, and like I can't stop it. I just cannot stop it. Like, and it's not it's not sort of a pat on the back for myself or for anybody else. It's the fact that we've worked hard. We do work hard to put the shows on and stuff like that, and to see the payoff and to hear people chanting and screaming that they want more and when's the next one going to be and stuff like that. Like, it selfishly, like, that's a massive thing for me. Like, that puts me on cloud nine. So like stuff like that really sort of gets to me, and and like I'll sit there afterwards with just like a drink and I'll just be like, that was hard. You're gonna do it again though? Oh yeah, definitely. And it's always been, oh yeah, definitely. There's never been a sort of time where I've gone, no, this is tainted my time for it. It's an oh yeah, definitely. It's just everyone is so supportive. Rich from this is a Turnbuckle TV interview. Rich from Turnbuckle TV. What a bloke. Like we talk all the time, just like mess it out. How are you? How are you doing? When it comes to wrestling and stuff like that, and wrestling the guy he's so sort of passionate about what we do that he turned up on the day with little slips on a card, and was handing them out for donations for free Turnbuckle TV access and stuff like that. So like he donated he's donated like year subscriptions to us to give away for like charity prizes, and
brilliant.
Like he was giving us like free. He'd set up free codes where like if you donate and put like a couple of quid in, you got last show for free. And like I was like, I'll get someone to go and give them out. And he's like, no, let me do it. And like he'd go and give them out himself and stuff like that. And like just like the support that we get from these people, like massive shouts to like Turnbuckle TV. What a platform that is. And I'm not just saying that because I've got a camera pointing at me. That is like unbelievable. Like, for the price that they charge and the amount of content that's on there is fantastic. Yeah, but not only that, it gives us somewhere to be. It gives us a home. And like Turnbuckle TV is very much our home. And if people want to see our old shows, we put them onto there. And then what happens is when the money goes to Turnbuckle TV that they've come through from us, that money then gets put back into the charities. So say if they subscribe to us, that goes back to the charity. So like we as a company literally don't have a penny. It all gets filtered back into the charities and stuff like that. Danny Reed, I mentioned him earlier. Like every time he comes to a show, he's one of his gear. His gear is he's got a baseball jacket, so it'll be a different colour with like white sleeves. First show, he had Click Sergeant. He bought a purple jacket, and he had Click Sergeant down the side. Like he had it made so it was printed all down the side, and Wrestling 4 on the shoulder. The last show for Acorns that he did, he released a blue and orange T-shirt, and like all the profits went to the charity and stuff like that. All these people that do these little things. Elliot Jordan, his chest looked like chopped mincemeat because they dragged him through the crowd and they were charging people like £1 a time to chop him in the chest, and people were coming up with like £20 notes and just going, "Here, I'll have that." Like they weren't waiting for change; they were just going, "Here, I'll have that," and they were wailing him. And like on the video footage, he looks at me and goes, "See what I do for you, Talbot?" As he's getting battered by the crowd and stuff like that. And like he got absolutely brutalised. But it's stuff like that makes me like they don't mind doing it, and people are happy to do it and stuff. It's such a humbling experience, and yeah.
Well, Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure and a delight to speak to you and to talk to you about your career, your ongoing career as a wrestler. Let's not forget that. And you're very much an active part, especially at Wrestling 4 shows, but also to kind of go in deep regarding Wrestling 4 and all the wonderful charities that you support and all the great work that you do and all the great support that you have out there through the wrestling community. It really is mind-blowing. But thank you so much for being a great guest on the Wrestling with Johners podcast. We wish you nothing but the best for your wrestling career and for the future of Wrestling 4, my friend.
Thank you for letting me talk at you for however long it's been. It's it's nice, it's great, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. Before we let you go, though, two things. Let my listeners know what they can continue doing to continue supporting Wrestling 4 and all the great charities that you cover, first of all.
Yeah. If you want to, support the charities that we've already supported, easiest way to do that is go to Turnbuckle TV, get yourself a subscription. That money then gets pumped straight back into the charities. That's the easiest way. We don't take any sort of donations or anything like that. The best way is to buy a ticket and come. Yeah. If you can't make the show, but you still want to donate to the cause, we do a thing where we gift a ticket. So someone, will have people. I've got a friend who lives in Bristol. He buys a family ticket every single year. Never comes to the show, but he always buys a family ticket every year, which we can then give to, for like Acorns or Click Sergeant. We gave it to a family that was struggling with, cancers and stuff like that. So they could come to the show free of charge. So, you can donate tickets and stuff like that. Tickets and stuff like that will be donated. You can donate tickets and stuff. There's just share what we put on Facebook. Every time that share gets to another person and to another person and to another person, more people see it, and we get more and more publicity from it, because the only way we can grow is if we all grow. And it's a thing I stand by, that if one of us grows, we all grow. So if Wrestling 4 gets 1,000 followers, then I'm going to be trying to get all of my boys another 1,000 followers that are working on the shows with me. And I won't give up until eventually there's no need for Wrestling 4 shows anymore, and there's no need for charity anymore, because we've solved all the world's ills, and we can all sit back happy one day. But I know it'll never happen. But
there we go. But if I know things are a bit up in the air at the moment, but if anybody wanted to look into or inquire about tickets for your June show, is there a web address that they can go and visit?
We have a website, which is wrestling4.com, which we will sell tickets through. The tickets aren't live at the minute, purely because of the COVID-19 reason. We don't want to have to go through the stress of selling tickets to an event and then having to, the company that we use that sorts the tickets out for us, they automatically refund it and stuff. But it's just one less hassle that we have to deal with, really. So, we're not selling tickets at the moment. As soon as we get any sort of yay or nay, they will be straight up.
Brilliant. And finally, are there any social media plugs, any social media handles on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook that you want to promote before we say goodbye to you, for yourself or for Xander Calaway, or for anything you want to promote?
There's the chosen man Xander Calaway on Facebook. That's me. There is Wrestling 4 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and that's all. That's Wrestling 4 or Wrestling 4 with an underscore at the end. Any one of them will take you to our pages. And that is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Our website, wrestling4.com. There's a load of information about us on there. And the Big Local Lion Farm Action Centre. All of them are on Twitter. And if you just Google The Big Local, you'll see the work that they do in the local community and stuff like that. They're on Twitter and stuff as well. They're the ones that really helped us be who we could be. So massive shout out to all of them.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. We'll make sure that as many of those handles as possible we'll add into the description of this podcast. So just click into the description. You'll have all of the Twitter links and website addresses there. I'll put as many as I can into the description, so please do not worry. So, Alex, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure and a joy to speak to you today on this special Turnbuckle TV presents Wrestling with Johners. So please keep it tuned to the Wrestling with Johners podcast, and please keep supporting Alex and all the wonderful things he does with Wrestling 4 and all the wonderful charities. But please keep it tuned to the Wrestling with Johners podcast.
Absolutely.
And if you've enjoyed listening to his podcast, please don't forget to spread the word. Tell your friends and tell your family. Don't forget to press that ever important subscribe button so you can be notified every time a new episode drops. And thanks again to Alex for coming on the Wrestling with Johners podcast. Thank you again to our sponsor, Turnbuckle TV, and we'll catch up with you all again soon.